So where are you? You're in some motel room? You just wake up and you're in a motel room. There's the key. It feels like maybe it's just the first time you've been there, but perhaps you've been there for a week, 3 months. It's kind of hard to say. I don't know. It's just an anonymous room.
The following radio program you're about to listen to is provided to you, the listener, by Inked Geek Studios. Get this and other great shows at inkedgeekstudios.com.
Good morning, Vietnam!
I love the smell of napalm in the morning.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
I feel the need for speed.
Roads? Where we're going, we don't need roads. Snakes. Why did it have to be snakes?
Badges? We don't need no badges. I don't have to show you any stinking badges.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to episode 5 of Movie Busters. I am your host, Nate, and I am host Nate. I've got too many T's.
I am your host, Nate.
Nate,
the host that is Nate.
The host with the most. And that is Brandon. Brandon, how are you?
I am also here.
You are.
Jumping right into referring to the chat room. Ashley, when you reboot and come back, it's just like talking to you in real life. You have to give us that caveat. Don't worry, we'll survive. We're not even going to know if you jump in and out real quick. It's fine. We have faith that you'll be back.
Gotta have faith.
Let's not get all crazy right off the beginning.
Right, so
Let's not.
Our movie this week is Memento, directed by Christopher Nolan. If I could have my sheets under your phone.
Nate, would you like your sheets?
I would like my sheets.
I will give you your sheets.
Thank you. Ooh. All right. So anyway, directed by Christopher Nolan, starring Guy Pearce, Carrie-Anne Moss, Joe Pantoliano, Joey Pants.
Joe Pantalones?
Joey Pants.
Did you really go through that many of those?
Yeah, I did, yeah.
Damn, I'm only on my second one.
Mark Boone Jr., Georgia Fox, and Stephen Tobolowsky for getting mentioned for the
second time.
The second time. He was a deleted scene in adaptation, but he was still worth mentioning because he's a great actor. So yes, exactly, Growly Bear in the chat room. Memento. It's a great movie. However, unlike the last 4 that we have done, I do want to give a little bit of a caveat at the top of this show. As somebody who listens to many movie podcasts, and as I'm sure, and like so far we've had like Corey and people like that who have not watched some of the movies that we've talked about in our first month. With this movie, if you care, I will say it is particularly important that you see the movie before you listen to this episode, because we are going to spoil a lot of it. And unlike most other movies, spoiling this movie, I think, really takes away from the movie.
It does. And I will say that if you're going to take the time to watch the movie, take the time to watch the movie. For the first time since we started this podcast, I had a particularly hard time getting through this movie, not because it was a bad movie, not because I hadn't seen it before, and not because it wasn't interesting. I was interrupted, 5 times, 6 times. Had to leave, come back, start over. I fell asleep once. I basically spent all day trying to watch the movie. I've seen it, but still, have some energy, get some time.
A refresher, yeah.
Tell everybody to fuck off and pay attention to what's going on. That being said, this movie only took 25 days to shoot, and there's a reason for that. A lot of the scenes are the same fucking scene with little changes.
Right, yeah. And also, it all takes place in... I guess that was kind of your point. It takes place in minimal amount of areas.
That's right.
Like, there's a couple that you only see once or twice, but you just watch it and rewind each part to make sure you get it. Yeah.
Tonight on the show, we'll be doing the movie Memento.
Huh?
Right?
I said
We're
that.
doing Memento?
Memento.
Short-term memory loss. It's a condition.
Ha, ha, ha. Yeah, you're good. Sorry. I'm like, yeah. Anyway, Jesus, why did I not pick up on that?
So tonight on the show, we'll be doing Memento. It's one of Nolan's movies. It's 17 years old. It's a great movie.
Christ, is it really?
Yes. It was the next movie that Trinity, whose name I forget.
Carrie-Anne Moss.
Carrie-Anne Moss, thank you. She did that after Matrix.
Okay. Now, I have a specific memory with this movie, ironically enough, because I remember watching it very shortly after the attacks of 9/11, which we are celebrating. I don't know about celebrating, but we are honoring the 16-year anniversary of tomorrow.
Apparently Apple is too.
That would be Tuesday.
It's not the 11th?
The 12th.
I thought it was the 11th.
No.
I've been really excited for that all week.
It's the 12th.
That is
I know.
a wicked bummer.
You have an extra day.
So tonight on the show, we'll be doing Memento.
So anyway, basically what we're going to do, I mean, we have to kind of describe the movie backwards because the movie is shown to us backwards, because if it's shown to you in order, it ruins the whole thing.
Yeah, the only time you're going to get it in order if you don't do the editing yourself is to buy the deluxe edition of the DVD, and then there's an Easter egg that you have to find after solving puzzles and shit, and then you can watch it edited in the right way.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but apparently it's really hard to get to in the DVD menu.
Yeah, but it's going to be on YouTube or something.
Oh, I don't doubt it.
Yeah. That would be interesting to see because the scenes do line up.
Right, very much like Pulp Fiction. If you
Right.
edit that the right way, you can watch that in order too. But Pulp
Okay.
Fiction is easier to figure out in your head than this movie.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you kind of start picking up on certain similarities, but we'll get to that when we get to them. So we start off in this movie with Guy Pearce, Leonard or Lenny, and he is in an abandoned warehouse.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I guess.
yeah.
I guess that's what you would
something
call that.
abandoned warehouse, abandoned house. It's something a rundown house, an isolated location, and he is in there, and he's there with Teddy, Joey Pants, and
Joey Pants.
Joey Pants.
We should watch Bad Boys too.
Yeah, then there's Matrix too. So there's
I threw that out there.
I like that
yesterday.
we're already building connections, so that's
Yep.
cool. But anyway, yeah, so he's there with him, and you hear that he found out about, like, he's the one that did it, and he pulls him to the ground, has the gun, and so that starts a whole spiraling process. And as the movie goes, reverse scene to reverse scene, we start to figure out who these characters are and where they go. So we will go into that particular scene right there. And again, kind of a caveat, pull the curtain back. I do have the clips there in order, but I feel like, and I was thinking about this today while I was watching the movie, it's kind of difficult to talk about scene by scene as opposed to just watching the whole. They're just talking about the whole movie. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I think we'll play them in order as I pulled them. But we're just gonna end up talking about the whole movie because it is all really one encompassing thing.
Teddy, don't believe his lies. He is the one. Kill him. I finally found him. How long have I been looking?
Find anything? Didn't think so. Let's go, huh? Oh, fuck this.
You're gonna pay for what you did. Beg forgiveness, and then you pay.
You don't have a clue, you freak.
Beg my wife's forgiveness before I blow your brains out.
Leonard, you don't know what's going on. You don't even know my name.
Teddy.
That's because you read it off a fucking picture.
So what you didn't get to in that scene is where he calls him a freak.
He said freak.
Did he say that? And I
Yeah.
didn't. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So that particular thing when he says freak, that's not actually Joey Pants. Christopher Nolan didn't like his delivery, so he dubbed it in doing an impression of Joey Pants, saying it the way he wanted it to be said.
Really?
Yeah. I read that in the IMDb trivia. I
Interesting.
thought it was
Do we
really
know
cool.
who did the dub?
Yeah, it was Nolan. Nolan did it.
Oh, that was Nolan.
Yeah, he was impersonating Joey
Huh.
Pants.
That's
I guess
interesting.
He didn't think he delivered it with enough feeling, I guess.
Just call me you freak.
Joey Pants didn't find out until way later. Was he pissed? I don't know. Is his ego huge? He seems like he'd have a big ego.
Does he?
He's a little guy.
He
Maybe
seems
he
like
has a little man syndrome.
He seems like he'd be the kind of dude that'd be like cool to chill and have a beer with.
Ignorance is bliss.
Yeah.
It's hard to say.
I don't know. But anyway, so to give a little bit of a setup before we do kind of do the major breakdown, again, if you haven't seen the movie, I can't recommend enough that you see it before you listen to this. But if you're not going to, then, there's your last real warning. So you have Leonard, whose wife was raped and murdered by these two dudes. He killed one of them during the assault, and then the other one slammed his head into a mirror. The bathroom medicine cabinet mirror, which caused him to lose any ability to form short-term memories, which is the reason for the movie being filmed backwards. And then you have the guy that escaped all he knew was his name was John G. John G or Jimmy G. Somewhere within there. So then you have Sammy. Is it Jenkins? I wanted to say Jenkins the whole time, but it's like Jenkins. Yeah, Jenkins. Sammy Jenkins was a...
Sammy Jenkins? What the hell did he say?
Jenkins. I think it's Jenkins or Jenkins.
Now you got me wondering.
I wrote it down.
Sammy Jenkins. Yeah.
Jenkins, okay.
Yeah, okay.
So anyway, Sammy Jenkins was a man. I guess I should start off by saying that Leonard was a insurance fraud investigator before this injury. And Sammy Jenkins was the case that he was investigating. And Sammy Jenkins also had a short-term memory loss problem. And they had suspected of fraud. And they were going through this whole rigmarole. And you hear the parallels. And I got some of the clips from that as well. Jankies, whatever it is.
I was thinking Zombie, but I can't think of the reference, so it doesn't matter. So does that insurance fraud investigator, does that seem to be the film go-to profession for people with mental disabilities? Because Fight Club, same kind of job.
Oh, was he?
More or less.
I don't remember. It's been
not
a while.
the same thing, but it was, the auto industry equivalent.
Right.
So if you're not sure of your own reality, get into insurance.
Yep.
Did that throw you off?
A little.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Jankies.
So anyway, yeah. So we end up kind of discovering that he puts him through this whole rigmarole. Is he faking it? Is he not faking it? They do a whole bunch of tests. So we get essentially two timelines in the movie. One of them is filmed almost kind of similar to the way that American History X was, in that we got the regular scenes, which are backwards, and then we have scenes that are filmed in forward progress, but they are kind of like the prequel. So they're the beginning of the movie. So essentially what you get here is you get the end of the movie shown to you backwards in color, and then you have the beginning of the movie shown to you in the proper order in black and white, cut in between the movie going backwards.
I thought that this was a really fitting follow-up to adaptation, given all of the little film critiques in that movie.
Right.
And then all of the things that this does that movie would have criticized.
Right.
Like all of the, asides and the overdubbing and all of that.
Yeah, there was a lot of it. And this movie kind of fell into place, too, because, I had my issue with iTunes, so I couldn't pick up network. And we had mentioned this movie on Mind of a Geek with Brian Ibbett on Friday.
That's right.
So,
and what a great show that was. Go listen to it if you haven't.
It was indeed a lot of fun. Mm-hmm. We discovered some things about Joker actors.
We did. I'm sure we will revisit that in future shows.
Oh, I'm sure. But yeah, so now we start to get breaking down, and we notice a character development for Leonard, where he comes in, and the first couple times that you are introduced to him in the black and white scene, it's the whole waking up in an anonymous room. So we will pull another one of those clips for you now.
It's just an anonymous room. There's nothing in the drawers. But you look anyway. Nothing except the Gideon Bible, which I, of course, read religiously. You know who you are, and you know kind of all about yourself. But just for day-to-day stuff, notes are really useful. Sammy Jenkins had the same problem, but he really had no system. He wrote himself a ridiculous amount of notes, but he'd get them all mixed up. You really do need a system if you're gonna make it work.
So, I really love Guy Pearce's deadpan delivery and all the voiceovers, and
Right.
I also think that he sounds, or I guess I should say, Benedict Cumberbatch sounds just like him doing an American accent. If you listen to the audio from Doctor Strange, it sounds just like Guy Pearce in this movie. And I also like the really cheesy, stupid jokes that are littered throughout this movie. That being one of them. I read the Gideon's Bible religiously.
Yeah, and I like that he laughed at his own
Yeah,
joke.
Fucking
Yeah,
geez.
I did enjoy that. With watching this movie, I tried my best to forget what happened at the end. Like, I kind of knew the reveal, but I forgot a lot of the details anyway.
Right.
So I like how they set him up as somebody who knows about himself, and he seems 100% confident about that.
Yeah, and he says that over and over again throughout.
Right. So they really stress that to you, which I think makes the powerful reveal at the end, or the reveal at the end, more powerful.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I think Guy Pearce is great. I mean, one of the movies that recently, I think he's most known for is Iron Man 3, because he was the main villain in that. And as much as that movie gets panned, I thoroughly enjoyed his character in that movie.
He does really well as old Wayland in the Alien prequels. I like him there too. He's a good, unassuming villain, flashback villain. They're not worth watching. I mean, I would just go to YouTube and watch his scenes.
Right. Now this was kind of the first major thing he did, right? Was he
this particular movie?
Yeah.
I'm not really sure. My first run-in with Guy Pearce was The Count of Monte Cristo.
Okay.
Which was also a good movie.
Right.
But I'm not sure. Time Machine is about this timeline.
But this was around his show up on the scene.
Yeah, I think so.
At least as far as being like a Hollywood guy.
As far as I know. I mean, I'm not really, again, I guess I could look.
Right.
While I'm all tongue-tied.
So now we get into Carrie Moss's character. We are introduced to her when she is in the you see her first in the diner. He has a note in his pocket a note on a piece of paper that says, meet me at 1. I have information for you. This is when we get the reveal that Teddy is indeed somebody else, which he seemed a little shady anyway. Mm-hmm. But we get the reveal that he is somebody else. We get the reveal that he is John Edward Gamble, and he is a John G. So at this point, we saw in the very first scene that he's 100% sure that it's him. And then we start to get this reveal of how that was set up. We hear Carrie Ann Moss's character throw the name Teddy around. You have to assume it's the same guy, but we don't make that connection right away.
Right.
So, I mean, man, there was a lot of questions left unanswered in this movie, as per typical Nolan.
Right.
That you've kind of got to wonder where all these characters initially came together. But anyway, yeah, so he gets the ID, he sees the picture, he sees the thing, because he got the identity of this license plate number that he had her look up, because all he had for information was a license plate number tattooed on his leg. So now, go ahead.
Yeah, I actually just figured that out. But you remember in the beginning, you see he has tattoos, which we'll get to. But he has the piece of paper taped to his leg where it says shave.
Right.
Yeah, I didn't immediately realize why, but I guess if he's tattooing himself all the time, of course he would shave.
Right.
Yeah, I didn't make that connection until like right now. But also, you remember last year, earlier in this year, I think, you hit your head on the car? I did that today. Like, I drive a truck typically, so I've been driving a car recently. I have one of each. And I just really rung my bell on the car. I've got a lump on my head, and like, enough so that my knees went weak and I stumbled, Really just, I think it's fucking me up because I'm a little bit hazy here. I'm a little worried that I might have concussed myself.
It's okay.
Anyway, yeah. Shave. So tonight on Movie Busters, we're going to do some movie. I forgot what it was. Oh, Memento. That's it. Oh, by the way, while I'm on a tangent, when I tried to look this up the first time, I obviously don't know how to spell memento.
Did you look up momentum?
Uno momento, sir, with no E. Where the fuck is this movie? I sent it to Nate. Why can't I find it now? See? I think my head's fucked up. Anyway.
What movie are we doing?
Tonight on Movie Busters, we're doing Memento, starring Guy Pearce.
So anyway, we start to, as the scenes unroll and the story unravels back to the beginning, we start to learn that there's more of a connection than originally let on between Natalie and Leonard. So this is them kind of talking. This is with this particular scene, all we get is the beginning of the scene is him banging on his door, and he goes, "Natalie, I assume, who the hell's Dodd?"
Right.
Which we find out later, but this is kind of like this is after they've calmed down at the end of that scene.
Leonard, you decided to help me. Trust yourself. Trust your own judgment. You can question everything. You can never know anything for sure.
There are things you know for sure.
Such as?
I know what that's gonna sound like when I knock on it. I know what that's gonna feel like when I pick it up. See? certainties. It's the kind of memory you take for granted. You know, I can remember so much. The feel of the world. And her. She's gone. And the present is trivia, which I scribbled down as fucking notes.
So we should mention that Leonard's wife never actually gets a name in this movie. She's just Leonard's wife. And the woman who plays her in the flashbacks is from CSI.
Yep.
I had to go look. I was really hoping she was from SVU, considering the way she was murdered in this movie. It would have been really fitting. But as you get to this point in the movie, you start to learn that, you know, everybody's probably fucking with him in his memory. From the guy at the hotel renting him 2 rooms without him knowing, and then he takes him to the wrong room. Another one of those stupid jokes in the movie. Well, my boss told me to fuck you over.
Right.
Always keep your receipts, sir. So we don't know. Correct title. The Adventures of Priscilla Queen. Oh yeah, okay. So we don't know who's telling the truth and what's going on. We just know that it seems like everybody's out to play him and get what they want out of him.
Right.
I mean, he's basically become her henchman at this point.
Right. Yeah. So, and even then, that was all. I mean, man, it's so hard to like, because you get it at the end. And I don't want to quite give it all away yet because of the big reveal. Like, we have a 5-minute clip. I shit you not. There are no shits that I give. We have a 5-minute clip, which is the huge reveal. Which is just, it breaks a lot of it down. So I don't want to kind of spoil too much before then. Yeah, anyway. So yeah, she's like, you know, help me and let's get it figured out. So Dodd is this guy that is, you don't really get a clue of who he is at this point. All you know is he's this guy who beat the hell out of her and she asked him to take care of him. And he did so in hopes that him taking care of, by him I mean Leonard, by Leonard taking care of Dodd, that she would be able to help him out because she has a friend that works at the DMV. So that was kind of the thing there. So now we have the beginning of the brief encounter with Dodd. It's not really a meaningful clip, but I thought it was funny, so I grabbed it.
Before you play that, when they introduce her character, Carrie-Anne Moss, to Leonard, and then you find out that this is all for help from a friend at the DMV. Well, we've all been to the DMV. Now, Carrie-Anne Moss's character is a pretty glamorous-looking character when you meet her. And you would think that her ties would go deeper than a friend at the DMV. Have you been to the DMV? I mean, you or I could have a friend at the DMV. We're nothing special.
No.
It's the DM fucking V. Give me a break. On to Dodd.
Natalie. Who's Natalie? Natalie who?
Why?
Maybe I know her.
Look, we gotta get him out of here.
All right. All right, he's got to have a car, right? So we take him down to his car, we tell him to get the fuck out of town or we're going to kill him.
We can't just walk him out of here tied up and bleeding.
How the fuck did you get him up here?
I don't know.
You don't know.
Yes, I do. This is not my room. It must be his room. Great, let's go.
No. We can't just leave him here.
Why not?
Because the maid's going to walk in. She'll see him, call the cops. He can ID us.
Okay, we untie him, we clean him up, and we march him out of here with a gun in his back.
A gun? Why would I have a gun?
Must be his. I don't think they'd let someone like me carry a gun.
Now, I accidentally cut that a little short because right after I hit stop on Netflix, clapping that audio, Joey Pants goes, man, I fucking hope not.
I love the beginning of the scene when he wakes up in the bathroom with the bottle. I don't feel drunk. Like that whole thing, it starts just like a lot of the scenes in this movie where he's in an anonymous room and
right.
Checks the drawers knowing that nothing's going to... Oh, there's a gun there.
Right.
And then it goes there and feeds into what we just heard.
I found it interesting. We can talk about it a little bit here just because there's no clip of it that's grabbed. But there was also that scene where he grabbed the escort. Mm-hmm. Right. And you... Like, it starts off with he wakes up and you think maybe he's having a flashback. Mm-hmm. And he hears his wife and he has the memory. Then he opens the door and he's got this blonde hooker doing blow on the toilet or heroin or something, some drug. I didn't quite notice. It was a quick scene. And then she's like, was that as good for you or was that good for you or whatever? And then you come to find out that he basically hired her to play his wife.
Yeah, just to try to spark some memory.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's another scene that's, there's a few scenes like that where it's a rope-a-dope and what's actually going on isn't what's going on. Or vice versa. Strike that, reverse it.
Right. Precisely. Yeah. There's a lot of stuff that's visual too. Again, with the memory.
Yeah, I kept looking at the scratches on his face to see when they were there and when they weren't. Little things like that.
Right.
Just to try to get a timeline.
I'm glad you brought those up because I was thinking about that too. And so obviously they got there at the beginning or the end, depending on how you look at it. And I like how they're basically scabbed over in the first scene. And then they... Sorry. I like how they're scabbed over in the first scene, and then as we get closer and closer to the end of the movie, but beginning of the story, they get fresher and fresher.
Yeah.
So that's a great work on Nolan to be attentive to that detail. And Nolan's always great at filmmaking. I hope we get to watch more of his movies, particularly some that are easier to talk about. Because again, this one, it's so jumbled that it can be difficult. So by this point in the movie...
And this is also a movie, that I didn't get to deep dive on like I have been.
Right.
This was, again, usually I watch it, mull it over. I didn't have the time for that today. It was a fucking hassle. But this is a movie that needed it,
Yeah, it is definitely one of those movies where there's a lot to it. So at this point with Sammy, we are learning that they are putting him through... basically a shock therapy test. What he as the insurance fraud investigator, what he has discovered and the doctors have claimed is that somebody who suffers from short-term memory loss should still be able to learn new memories via conditioning. Mm-hmm. So they set up all these shapes at a table, and he touches them and picks them up, and then one of them is electrocuted, and they keep the same one electrocuted Every time. And over time and time, there is no... He never learns from it, right? So what they essentially established at that point was that Sammy, it was all in his head. It wasn't physical, it was mental.
Right.
So the claim was denied, and there's this whole thing going on. And again, the way that... Is it Tobolowsky? Mm-hmm. His portrayal and his character in this movie... was good. I enjoyed it. It was small, but his parts, he was spot on.
He ended up being cast in this movie because he was one of the only actors that went in for the rehearsal having actually had amnesia.
Yeah.
At one point in time, he was on an experimental painkiller, and it gave him amnesia, so he had first-hand experience. I read the trivia.
Nice. So he originally went in for the Leonard role?
No, he just, when he auditioned for this role...
Oh, okay. He auditioned for this role.
Right.
Okay. All right. Yeah, so again, the more we come to find out about that character, the more that you start to see some similarities between Leonard and Sammy. Mm-hmm. And this whole time, they zoom in on a tattoo on his hand that says, "Remember Sammy Jenkins." Mm-hmm. So I keep wanting to say Jenkins. Sammy Jenkins.
I love the scenes, too, where he's on the phone, which we'll get to. But he just casually tattoos himself. You see him talking and breaking the pen open and burning the needle and all of that.
Right. Man.
Nonchalantly. I wouldn't be doing that, but sure.
No, but I tell you, he's all concerned about finding who killed his wife. The guy's going to get ink poisoning.
Right.
You don't tattoo yourself with Bic pen ink.
No.
That ain't cool.
No, it's not. Hey, you want to get all geeked up for a second? This weekend, I was looking at your Funko Pop over there.
Oh.
Yeah. That
Finn
one.
Balor, yeah.
The Finn Balor one. So, I hit my head. What do you want me to do? So I went and got the Titanfall, the BT.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Funko, the mech.
Oh, there's a mech?
Yeah, it's
nice.
cool. And the Funko fits inside of it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's cool.
Nice.
And then I got the TARDIS and the 10th Doctor, and the 10th Doctor fits in the TARDIS. Yeah.
Nice.
Cool. Yeah.
I want to get the clown one. We'll try back. We'll slowly stumble back to movies. I want to get the clown one from It.
You haven't seen it yet, right?
No, I haven't.
Let's go see that.
I want to.
Let's go.
I hear it's good.
It's good. I saw it.
Oh, did you see it?
Yeah, after 3 sold-out shows, I finally saw it.
Oh, really? It's made bank in the theater.
It's good.
Yeah.
You'll like it.
So is it the best Stephen King movie so far?
It's not my favorite Stephen King movie, but my favorite Stephen King movie is widely known as the worst Stephen King movie.
Well, okay, but I mean, but as pure Hollywood critique would say, is it the best? Would you say they're going to consider it the best?
Maybe number 3 after Shawshank and Green Mile.
Oh, I forget about those. So his best horror movie.
Yeah, I would think so.
Yeah. Okay.
It's
I forget
definitely-
those are the best traditional Stephen
Yeah,
King
no,
movie.
I would think it
Yeah.
would be the best.
It was
pretty
better
good.
than Dark Tower.
Yeah. Fuck yes. I actually told Daryl was at the theater. I saw him last night. We were talking about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fuck that movie.
Wait,
Anyway.
he wasn't playing Destiny?
No, he wanted to go see it, and it was sold out. So he ended up going to see The Hitman's Bodyguard instead. So I don't think he's actually seen it yet.
Yeah. Maybe.
What?
I'll tell you after.
Beautiful.
Anyway, so that wasn't the scene I was expecting with the clip. This is the scene I was expecting with the clip, and this one's the one I grabbed because I thought it was funny. So at this point, now we have found out more about Dodd. We found out that he beat Natalie, and we come into this scene. And again, this is another one of those. It's the beginning of the scene, and he doesn't know what's going on. But this one is kind of funny.
Okay, so what am I doing? Oh, I'm chasing this guy. No, he's chasing me.
Yeah, I love that scene. Huh. I like how his short-term memory, it's not consistent. Like, they kind of frame it like every time he wakes up, he has to start over again. But then you kind of see that, oh, it's whatever. You can get a random reset because it happens in the hotel room when he sits down with the bottle to wait for Dodd.
Like in an instant.
Yeah.
Right.
And then it happens there where it's the middle of an action scene. What the fuck is going on? And they totally switch it up.
Right.
I thought that was genius. Because when have you ever seen that before?
Well, that's the thing with this movie is, I mean, when it comes to memory, like, I don't know anything, and this would have been maybe good to look into too. I almost kind of wish Corey was active in the chat. I don't know if he's actually even there, because he's always a good source of information. But as far as short-term memory loss in this way, where it's not quite amnesia because you remember everything up to the injury, but you don't formulate new memories. So I was curious as to what the consistency of any realm of reality that injury or condition is, because you do see that quite a bit. And again, the time scale is different. You know, when there's the scene when we get the Carrie Moss reveal, which is the next clip, where it's almost instant. It takes a minute, right? And then there's that scene where it's a matter of seconds. He specifically says in one of the conversations with the hotel clerk or the hotel manager or whoever he is, he's like, if I have too long of a conversation, by the end of the conversation, I won't remember how it started. Yet we have that 5.5 minute clip with Joey Pants,
Right.
where he remembers the whole thing.
Right.
And then he seems to also remember it when he's in the car 3 minutes later.
But that's the question, isn't it? We end up talking about Sammy Jenkins, and big reveal aside, we have to wonder about the authenticity of his ailment. Is it psychological or not?
Well, I think that was the whole point.
Exactly.
That was the thing with, yeah. So, okay, so Growly Bear says what it actually is no memories are saved to long-term memory. So is it like a thought per thought basis or a case by case basis where how long those short-term memories are held on for?
I looked up what it actually was.
Right.
Keep talking. I'll tell you.
Okay. So while you're looking that up, we'll do the Natalie clip because I think that's a couple minutes. So now we are at the point where
the medical condition experienced by Leonard in this film is a real condition called anterograde amnesia, the inability to form new memories, like he said, after damage to the hippocampus. During the 1950s, doctors treated some forms of epilepsy by removing parts of the temporal lobe, resulting in the same memory problems.
Oh. Interesting. What's it called again?
Anterograde amnesia.
Cool. So what's it called again?
So tonight on the show, we'll be doing the movie Memento.
I'm waiting for you to do that and say Mentos.
Uno momento, por favor. Tonight on the show, we'll be doing the movie Mentos.
The Fresh Maker.
The Fresh Maker Part 2. The Revenge of Fruit Flavored. The Revenge of the Fruit. This is a serious podcast. I'm serious about it.
Serious.
Seriously.
I'm seriously serious, dude.
Seriously. You know what? When Raul was a teenager...
Wait, hold on.
He would say seriously. Like fucking... You know how some people say like all the time?
Yeah.
Or fucking, like a comma?
Fucking, like...
He would say seriously all the time. It would just drive me nuts.
Well, with all this chatter...
Seriously.
Seriously. What movie are we doing again? Anyway, okay, so now we go into... now we go into the Natalie reveal. So where this is set up is right before this scene, we have a scene where she comes into her apartment that he is presently staying at this point in time in the movie. And she's got a black eye and a bruised cheek, and her lip is bleeding. And he's like, what happened to you? She's like, he beat me. And he's like, who? She says, Dodd. And you have to go and you have to take care of this. So what we are led to believe at this point is that Dodd beat the shit out of her. Now we get what happened like 3 minutes before that. And here she comes in. She says, she closes the blinds. She says, somebody's already on their way. And you kind of get that she's setting something up, because what you don't get in this clip, again, a lot of things in the movie are visual, is before she kind of breaks out of the character we've learned so far and she gives us this new Natalie, she takes all the pens and she puts them in her purse so he can't find anything to write with, because she basically uses him, as she says in the clip. So we'll play this clip now. And yeah, it's I don't know, it's pretty cool. It's Carrie Ann Moss, that you don't really see her act like this outside of, or in any other movie. She doesn't really have this like traitorous bitch way about her.
The sinister type of role.
Yeah.
What's wrong?
Somebody's come already.
Who?
Calls himself Dodd.
What does he want?
Wants to know what happened to Jimmy and his money. He thinks I have it. He thinks I took it.
Oh, well, did you?
No.
So right there you hear the pens.
What's this all about?
You don't have a fucking clue, do you? You're just blissfully ignorant, aren't you?
Look, I have this condition.
Yeah, I know all about your fucking condition, Leonard. Probably know more about it than you do. You don't have a fucking clue about anything else.
What happened?
What happened is that Jimmy went to meet some guy named Teddy. He took a lot of money with him and he never came back. Jimmy's partners think I set him up. I don't know if you know this, Teddy, or how well.
Neither do I.
Don't protect him.
I'm not.
Help me.
How?
Get rid of Dodd for me.
What?
Kill him. I'll pay you.
What do you think I am? I'm not gonna kill someone for money.
What then? Love? What would you kill for? Kill for your wife, wouldn't you?
That's different.
Not to me. I wasn't fucking married to her.
Hey, don't talk about my wife.
I can talk about whoever the fuck I want. I can say whatever I want and you won't remember. I could call your wife a fucking whore and we can still be friends.
Calm down.
Easy for you to say. You can't get scared. You don't know how, you fucking idiot.
Take it easy. This has nothing to do with me.
Well, maybe it does. How the fuck would you know? You don't know a fucking thing. You can't get scared, but hey, can you get angry?
Yes.
Oh, you pathetic piece of shit. I can say whatever the fuck I want, and you won't have a fucking clue, you fucking retard.
Shut your mouth.
You know what? I'm gonna use you. I'm telling you now because I'm gonna enjoy it so much more if I know that you could stop me if you weren't such a fucking freak. Did you lose your pen? Well, that's too bad, freak. Otherwise, you could write yourself a little note about how much Natalie hates your retarded guts and that I called your wife a fucking whore.
Hey, don't say another fucking word.
About your whore of a wife? I read about your condition, Leonard. You know what one of the causes of short-term memory loss is? Venereal disease. Maybe your cunt of a fucking wife sucked one too many diseased cocks and turned you into a fucking retard. You sad freak. I can say whatever the fuck I want, and you won't remember. We'll still be best friends. Or maybe even lovers.
Well then a lot happened off mic. So anyway, to repeat what I said before we go any further, it's funny that she said blissfully ignorant in the beginning, considering that Joey Pants is in the Matrix with her, and he says it in that. Connections all over the place, and what a mean Carrie Ann Moss that was.
Right.
Cunt.
Dude, we got cunt and retard in the same sentence.
We did.
How many people did we just piss off?
What is this, American History X? Jesus.
There are no people of color in this movie.
No, that's true.
Yeah.
Well, there's literally only like, what, 4 or 5 scenes?
I mean,
how many scenes are in the movie, though?
like, this is the list. We've got Leonard, Natalie, Teddy, Bert, who's the hotel guy.
Right.
Then we've got Leonard's wife, Sammy Jenkins, Sammy's wife, and then we get, like, a couple of doctors.
But what did they really need for sets in this movie? A car, 2 hotel rooms, and a flashback scene for a living room, and then Natalie's apartment or whatever.
Yeah, the bar.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
like, cupcake movie to make.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I can't imagine the budget was that large at all.
No.
Yeah. It almost, like, this could easily be done as, like, a college film.
Right. It's very Clerks in that way.
Right.
With
But
a
anyway.
lot of parallels to some other movie. Keep going.
Okay, so one of the things that was revealed in that scene was that, as I had mentioned prior to the clip, in the scene before that, she comes in all beaten up, and she says that it's Dodd. Well, what happens at the end of that scene is after he hits her, she's like, "Thank you, I'll see you soon." She walks out, he scrambles for the pen, as I had mentioned in the beginning of that clip. When you hear her scrambling at the desk, she's taking all the pens so he can't write his memory down. She leaves, she stays out there for like a minute, and this goes back to the whole like inconsistent time where memories seem to erase themselves as a plot device.
Yeah. The Deus Ex Machina of memory.
Right. So then she comes back in, and then we get the scene before when he goes, "What happened to you?" Dodd. When it was just him who did it moments ago, and
Right.
he just can't remember it. So now things are starting to kind of unravel a little bit, because him beating the hell out of Dodd and then getting her to do the license thing to figure out who Teddy really is, like, this all started by her roping him around to beating her up to frame Dodd when Dodd never really did anything.
But why did Dodd have that gun?
Because he's a drug dealer.
He's a bad guy. That's why. He's an evil man. He did things. So the parallels
So he may not have been guilty of this, but he was guilty of something, so it's
Everybody's
okay.
guilty of something. We all need a mirror, sir. So what I was thinking of is there's a lot of parallels to American Psycho in this movie. No, he's not a killer, right? But at the end, you said unraveling. That's what triggered my memory. The end of this movie and that movie are very much the same, where it's, I'm not sure of my reality. You
I have to see that. I don't remember that. I don't remember the ending of that movie.
We should do that movie. I love that movie.
Yeah.
And that's right up your alley. There's another one. Well, Zodiac. You saw that on the list.
Yeah.
That I would think that would be right up your alley too.
Yeah, I thoroughly like Zodiac. Zodiac was good. But anyway, so as I was saying, now things are starting to unravel. Now we're starting to get the characters. Now, you know, that onion's getting peeled back.
Yep.
And, you know, things are starting to kind of show themselves for what they are. She references Teddy. At this point, we're starting to get a hint that it's the same Teddy that he knows.
Mm-hmm.
It's a small town. How many fucking Teddys are there?
That's right.
So, yeah, things are starting to go. Now, we've got the reveal of Teddy. We find out, because I'm going to skip a couple of those clips. We find, because we find out that Teddy is truly indeed.
Dun, dun, dun.
Hey, smile. Oh, wait, no, not here. Over here.
Now, is it Officer or Lieutenant Gamble?
You know what? Don't write Gamble, just Teddy.
Why?
I'm undercover.
But of course, he's a dirty cop.
So we do find out that he is actually a cop.
Mm-hmm.
But that's, so, again.
What can you really say about it until you get further on in the reveals? I mean, you find out he's a cop, and
Well, let's just do. All right, so brace yourselves. We got this. I'm just gonna play the reveal.
Yeah,
because it's the next clip. This is the 5-minute reveal.
This is really. I mean, this is the meat of the issue. I mean, what can we really say until you have this information?
Right. Exactly. So here you go. Enjoy.
Hey, mister, I need help. There's a guy in here. He's hurt bad. We gotta get him to a doctor.
All right. I don't know what happened. I've got this memory thing. Do I know you?
No, don't worry. I'm a cop. You still breathing?
Well, I don't know. Maybe.
What the hell are you guys doing down here?
Well, I don't remember. I have this condition.
Well, I hope it's not as serious as his, because this guy's dead.
Ready? That shit kills.
So you remember me now, huh? You are a fucking cop.
Yeah. And I'm the guy to help you find him.
Get up. Get up.
Lenny, you got the wrong idea.
Who is that? He knew me.
Of course he did. He raped your wife. He fucked up your brain.
Bullshit. He's not the guy.
His name is James F. Grant. John G. Check your tattoos.
What was he bringing the 200 grand for?
What?
What was it for?
A load of amphetamines I told him I had.
Is this a drug deal?
No. Yeah, that and your thing. Look, Leonard, Jimmy's your guy. I just figured we'd make a few dollars on the side.
How did he know me?
The discount end. He dealt out of there. The guy at the front desk let him know if anybody came snooping around. He called Jimmy the minute he saw you taking a picture of the dump.
You're fucking using me.
No! You get half!
He knew about Sammy. Why would I tell him about fucking Sammy?
You tell everybody about Sammy. Everybody will listen. Remember Sammy Jacobs? Remember Sammy Jacobs? Great story. Gets better every time you tell it. So you lie to yourself to be happy. There's nothing wrong with that. We all do it. Who cares if there's a few little details you'd rather not remember?
What the fuck are you talking about?
I don't know. Your wife surviving the assault. Her not believing your condition. The torment and pain and anguish tearing her up inside. The insulin.
That's Sammy, not me. I told you about Sammy.
Yeah, right. Like you tell yourself over and over again. Conditioning yourself to remember. Learning through repetition.
Sammy let his wife kill herself. Sammy ended up in an institution.
Sammy was a con man. A faker.
I never said that Sammy was faking.
Exposed him for what he was. A fraud.
But I was wrong. That's the whole point. See, Sammy's wife came to me.
Sammy didn't have a wife. It was your wife who had diabetes.
Ouch.
My wife wasn't diabetic.
You sure?
Ouch. Cut it out.
She wasn't diabetic. You think I don't know my own wife? What the fuck is wrong with you?
Well, I guess I can only make you remember the things you want to be true. Like old Jimmy down there.
He's not the right guy.
He was to you. Come on, you got your revenge. Enjoy it while you still remember. What difference does it make whether he was your guy or not?
It makes all the difference.
Why? You're never gonna know.
Yes, I will.
No, you won't.
I will. Somehow. I'll
You
know.
won't remember.
When it's done, I will know. It'll be different.
Well, I thought so too. In fact, I was sure of it, but you didn't. That's right. The real John G. I helped you find him over a year ago. He's already dead.
Don't lie to me anymore.
Look, Lenny. I was the cop assigned to your wife's case. I believed you. I thought you deserved a chance for revenge. I'm the one that helped you find the other guy in your bathroom that night. The guy that cracked your skull and fucked your wife. We found him. You killed him. But you didn't remember. So I helped you. Start looking again. Looking for the guy you already killed.
Oh, yeah? So who was he?
Just some guy. I mean, does it even matter who? No reason, Lenny. No conspiracy, just bad fucking luck. A couple of junkies too strung out to realize your wife didn't live alone. But when you killed him, I was so convinced that you'd remember. But it didn't stick. Like nothing ever sticks, like this won't stick. I took that picture. Just when you did it. Look how happy you are. I wanted to see that face again.
Oh, gee, thanks.
Fuck you. I gave you a reason to live, and you were more than happy to help. You don't want the truth. You make up your own truth, like your police file. It was complete when I gave it to you. Who took out the 12 pages?
You, probably.
No, it wasn't me. See, it was you.
Why would I do that?
To create a puzzle you could never solve?
And it kind of ended.
Look at that. That 5 minutes took a while.
Right.
Hey, so the biggest thing there, if you were listening closely, you can hear Leonard's wife say, ouch. Now, there's a scene earlier in the movie, and if you're eagle-eyed, you'll wonder why they showed it. He's in bed with her, and she's sitting there, and he pinches her leg. And you think it's just a playful thing. But then it's revealed at this point that he's actually pinching her leg to administer insulin.
Right.
And poke her with a needle. Yeah. So if you're smart, you could have figured that shit out.
Yeah, he formed... See, now this is where I'm wondering, and it would be great to talk to somebody who maybe knows about the condition, but he cannot form short-term memories. But he somehow has gotten into his head to edit his narrative.
Somehow he can't form short-term memories, but he also has selective memory, where he's totally rearranged everything to benefit his plight.
Right.
So again, like, his whole life is a plot device to further the movie. Certain things that would have made everything easier, he has edited out.
Right.
He didn't want to remember that Sammy didn't have a wife, which we didn't talk about the scene where Sammy kills his wife.
Right.
Which was a great scene. He didn't want the police report to be complete, so he removed 12 pages.
Right.
And then, just things like that further this movie and make it a never-ending... it's said a few times.
It's his Groundhog Day.
Right. Well, he says it himself a few times in the movie. He has no reason to live.
Right.
So revenge is his life. So if he doesn't have this to go after, if there's no John G., then there's no point for him to exist anymore. So he doesn't give a fuck who John G. is, and it's said right here. Joey Pants says it. What the fuck does it matter? It was some tweaker that cracked your skull and killed your wife, raped your wife, whatever. Which again, like, that's part of the genius of this movie, I think. The fact that all of this buildup, it doesn't even matter who did it. It's not a whodunit movie. It's about Leonard.
Right. And the fact that he's the one that killed his wife.
Right.
Because he is Sammy.
Right.
In his mind.
Right.
Right. Well, out of his mind, I should say. But, so he has put what he did to his wife onto this Sammy, who I guess was a real person, but he just assigned the name to...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems
and I think that was the purpose of the tattoo is, again, it was that conditioning. And maybe that's all it was. Maybe it was the conditioning of this is how it is, this is how it is. Because as we find out... We'll do this really short clip here, and then there's quite a bit to talk about before the closeout. So this is where he decides that Teddy is his new John G. And this is right after that big reveal scene.
Another John G to look for? You're John G. So you can be my John G. Do I lie to myself to be happy? In your case, Teddy. Yes, I will.
So it's said there he lies to himself to be happy. He's like you said, he's artificially extending this cat and mouse chase.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess my question is, and again, typical of Nolan movies, you don't really find out what's going to happen because at the beginning of the movie, when you heard the gunshot, he kills Teddy. So he kills Teddy. But you think from the beginning that Teddy is the guy that killed his wife, and he kind of comes off as that scumbag. So you think that maybe that could be the case, and you're watching the mystery unravel, and how he came across it. But what you find out is that he, like, this license plate that he had Carrie Ann Moss look up, he sat right there behind Teddy's car and wrote the license. Like he set himself up for success in a way.
Yeah, he begat the game. Like,
right.
The whole thing is based around him. What a fucked up. I think this is the first show where I haven't really gone like all introspective and been woe is me about it.
There's not really a lot to relate to.
Well, no, but I mean, it's funny. We all make lies to, whatever he said. What did he say? We all lie to ourselves
to be happy. Yeah.
I guess that's true in a way, but like this guy just takes it to an extreme. He doesn't lie to himself to be happy. He lies to himself to be miserable.
But he's happy in his own misery.
Yeah.
Which I think we can both relate to in some ways.
Right. I have a few points on that we can talk about off air.
Singast.
Someday we'll do one of those.
But yeah, so now you mentioned that Teddy's a dirty cop, right? You had said that a little while ago.
I said it because of the $200,000 in the car that he was trying to get a cut of. After he admitted to helping him with his wife's murder and all
So he's
that.
a dirty cop, right? Yeah. But I don't necessarily think he's in on it with Natalie. I think she happened to be a wild card.
Yeah.
Like it just happened to be that this Jimmy G that he set up happened to be Natalie's boyfriend.
And that is the same guy that he stole the clothes from.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then we have that scene where he pulls up to the bar and she's like, "Oh, Jimmy," but it's not him, but he's in Jimmy's car.
Mm-hmm.
And
oh yeah.
Yeah, so you have that whole unravel because the only reason he ever went there is because him retracing his steps relies on notes, and he found that coaster from Natalie that said "Meet me here" or whatever it said, but that was actually what she wrote to.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, and then there's the scene that's also explained where she's like, "Well, why are you here?" He's like, "I have this in my pocket," and she's like, "Oh, your pocket, huh?" So. All these little things. Yeah. So again, I did say if you haven't seen this yet, watch it before you listen to this because it does spoil that ending. However, after you've seen it the first time, it's cool to go back and pick up on all the little things.
Yeah. This is not like an M. Night Shyamalan movie. This is a movie to be revisited. So did they actually sleep together? Carrie-Anne Moss and Leonard? Or did they
there was the scene where they woke up in bed together.
It's implied, but are they just like cuddling?
I don't know.
How deep was her usage of him, I wonder? Hey-o.
Or his usage of her.
He wouldn't remember it anyway.
No, he wouldn't. But you go in and you find out that the guy that he's on the phone with the whole time is Teddy.
Yeah.
Like Teddy is the cop that's calling him in the narratives where he's talking on the phone. Teddy's the one that's slipping notes under the door, and Teddy tries to say, no, he's a dirty cop. That's somebody else.
Yeah. That much I had figured out before the movie ended, but...
But he just happens to stumble into this whole thing with Natalie and Dodd, and Jimmy went to meet this guy Teddy, who's the cop. You find out there that Teddy and Leonard have known each other for at least a year. Teddy was the cop that helped solve. Now I'm wondering, at this point we're not given any more facts. At this point, we don't know what the truth to Teddy's story is. I guess we just have to take him at his word. Yeah. Is it implied that he's finally telling him the truth? I mean, is that
that would be my
the
guess.
implication there? But we don't know how far along this has been on.
No, it's a Nolan movie. We have no idea what's going on, really.
I mean, very akin to the whole the top spinning in Inception.
Exactly.
Yeah, and one of the movies that you had put on the list too was The Prestige, another Nolan movie, which has Batman and Wolverine.
Yep.
Do you recall that movie? Because I don't. Did that have what if at the end as well?
I don't remember. I've definitely seen it, but that came out the same time as The Fountain, and a lot of times I get those movies confused.
There was also the Magician movie with Ed Norton.
Yeah. It's funny how movies come out and you have a lot of movies that are the same.
Yeah.
Armageddon, Deep
Impact.
Things like that.
Yeah. Then there's
The Sphere and some other movie that's
Cube.
just like that. The Cube.
The Room.
Hypercube.
I'm glad we're out of the thes.
Yeah.
Because it happened with movies and bands for a while.
Right.
Everything was a the.
The Vines. The White Stripes.
The Offspring.
The Strokes. The Moody Blues. Yeah. We have one more clip.
We do. Let's play it. I like this quote. I like it a lot. And I think it's, I don't know, if the movie was trying to send a message, I think this was probably the message.
Mm-hmm.
I have to believe in a world outside my own mind. I have to believe that my actions still have meaning, even if I can't remember them. I have to believe that when my eyes are closed, the world's still there. Do I believe the world's still there? Is it still out there? Yeah. We all need mirrors to remind ourselves who we are. I'm no different.
And again, I love his deadpan delivery. Yeah, it's cool. Everything's fine. I live in a fucked up world that I can't escape, but it's fine. But it's funny how sight itself, and they talk about memory in this movie and how it's perception to be distorted. It's so true. We're all trapped in our own perception. Do you actually look the way everybody else sees you? I don't know. Do I see you as everyone else sees you? Do you taste like chicken? Does Nate taste like chicken? Does chicken taste like Nate? The world will never know.
Or will it?
It might.
Yeah. So anyway, no. Again, I think that last clip gives a good kind of message. The whole like we all look in the mirror. We all have to see ourselves in the mirror to remember who we are. Living outside of your mind, again, seeing the world as how it truly is and not just what's in your head, because I mean, the movie is a good kind of metaphor or message for that, in that the world clearly exists outside of his head, because he has to live in this repetitive thing where he's constantly looking at notes and setting himself up. But again, the world that's in his head is a much different narrative than what is in the movie, because again, as we said, he set up this story that Teddy is his John G, that, and then Natalie set up the story that Dodd beat her when he did. Like, the whole movie, if you watch it in reverse order, everybody is making their own narrative. Mm-hmm. Everybody is making their own story. So it's interesting in that, yes, the world exists outside of his head.
It does.
But it's a collection of everybody else's stories that's forming his world.
And all those stories that are forming his world all end and begin with him. They all revolve around him.
Right.
So yeah, he's living in a world that exists, but his world, in his world, he is the center of the universe. Growly Bear says Kentucky Fried Nate. Is that original or extra crispy?
Depends on my mood.
On tonight's show, we'll be doing Memento. Directed by Chris Nolan.
And Screenplay was actually him, and I don't know if it's his brother or his son.
Oh, dude, I meant to talk about that, because very much like adaptation, here we are again, where it's a screenplay adapted from a brother.
Right.
A little different, obviously, since one is a made-up brother, but,
Right.
Yeah, very funny. Very, very strange.
But so was it his brother?
Yeah.
It is okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know if it was brother or son.
It was his brother.
I was looking up IMDb while at work, so network was kind of shoddy. But so yeah, overall, again, in retrospect, and we talked about this back and forth while the mics were off during clips. This is a great movie, but admittedly, it's a very hard movie to tackle on a podcast.
Yeah.
It's very difficult to talk about.
Yeah, we almost should have done the podcast the way the movie was and did it backwards. But even then, like, once you have that reveal, where do you go from there?
Right.
But, it's befallen us before we were really privy to the fact that, we're going to have a hard time breaking this down. I really think that hit to the head fucked me up. Having some troubles here.
It's okay.
But,
yeah, because the only real way, I mean, you'd have to kind of break it down scene for scene, but at that point, you were just telling the movie, which there gets to a point where you can do a little too much of that.
Right.
But, no, I mean,
either way, just take it as a long commercial.
Yeah, it's a long commercial for the movie.
Go check it out.
But no, I really enjoyed the movie. It was like my second or third time seeing it. I mean, I like it. I like the twist. One thing we didn't talk about, which is what we had kind of talked about with Brian on Mind of a Geek, which was what put this movie in my head along with you sending it. The movie is about a guy remembering that he forgets things. Now, one thing that Brian had said on Mind of a Geek Friday night was that you would think that the first thing that he wouldn't be able to remember is the fact that he can't remember anything.
Right.
So again, just more of that artistic liberty with the condition.
Exactly.
The whole, it just works as a plot device.
It's funny though, because for him that was the case, but for Sammy in the movie, it doesn't seem like he knows that he's forgetting things.
No.
So yeah, again, it goes back to, the nature versus nurture of it all. Is it psychological or not?
Right.
Is it physiological or is it psychological?
Right. And what happens next? Like, okay, so he doesn't have Teddy anymore. Teddy was kind of his guide.
Right.
So now Teddy's dead.
But he won't remember it.
Exactly. So does he go on this wild hunt?
Does it all start over again and he finds a new Teddy?
Yeah.
I mean, and
he finds a new Teddy.
They throw Natalie in there, right? So like you said, wild cards, they have all these things. So these people that he crosses paths with, once they figure out that they can take advantage of his condition.
Right. Does he just become a puppet?
Yeah, I think it just keeps going.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, he's thinking he's the smartest guy in the room, but really he's getting fucked every time.
Right. And really quick, going back, I want to touch on the whole like Teddy being a dirty cop thing again. I really think that he was on his side. And I really think that he was trying to just corral his craziness. Mm-hmm. Because we have the scene when one of the first scenes when he comes out of Natalie's apartment and Teddy meets him in the car. And he goes on this whole thing. He's like, she's trying to use you. She's obviously trying to use you, and goes over this whole charade. And then Teddy makes him write on her picture, like, don't trust her, or she lies, or whatever. And then after Teddy leaves the car, he flips over Teddy's card, which says, don't believe his lies. So he crosses off. Now, he doesn't know anything at that point, but what we find out at the end of the movie there is that Teddy gave him the reveal, and he, openly choosing not to believe it, wrote, don't believe his lies on the back of his picture, so he would never trust anything he said again, basically setting him up to be the villain.
Very true. And again, when I said dirty cop, like, that all feeds into this. Yes, I agree with you that he's trying to corral his craziness, but in doing so, he's kind of stepping outside of the law on a few occasions.
Well, yeah, he admittedly said he helped him kill someone.
Right. And I mean, look at Dodd, like, he helps him. Well, what the fuck is this guy in the closet?
Right.
I'm going to help you fix this,
Right.
And he has all the answers, right? So, we can't do it this way. We have to do it this way.
Right. So I'm wondering if that relationship between those two characters also goes deeper.
It may.
Yeah.
And I mean, is he still a cop? Like, is he a current cop? Like, is he a retired cop? Is he still on the force? It's hard to say.
Right.
It just kind of seems like he's a guy.
He's a dude.
A dude.
He's a dude.
And the dude abides.
It does indeed. So I think that'll wrap it up for this particular episode of Movie Busters.
Oh, I think so.
Again, we hope you enjoyed it. And if you haven't seen the movie yet and you still want to watch it, go watch it. I mean, you've got the reveal, but like I said, now is the time to kind of go and look at those little points and see. Again, we did our best to not include everything. There's still some stuff to see. But it's one of those movies where you kind of have to talk about all of it for it to make any sense.
That's true.
So next week, we are going to do Zodiac. Is that correct?
On next week's show, we're going to be doing Memento.
Again.
Again? What do you mean? I am Brandon. I do podcasts on IG Studios. Who are you?
I don't know.
You don't know?
I don't know.
It's weird.
I'm Teddy.
Teddy, huh? I don't trust that guy.
Don't believe his lies. But yeah, so next week will be Zodiac with John Cusack, all about the Zodiac killer, otherwise known as Ted Cruz. But yeah, so, and that will kind of bring us into, we start to creeping ever so closely to October at that point. So we're going to try and get our movies not so much horror, but maybe darker in theme.
I think so. I think it's a good idea. I mean, yeah, and when I say darker, it doesn't even need to be a slasher film, a horror film, anything like that. Like, there's plenty of movies that are dark without being scary.
Right. Like, I think Zodiac's pretty easy to watch.
I think Zodiac will be good. I think maybe Flatliners at some point. Igby Goes Down is a pretty dark movie while not being dark at all. I know I keep mentioning that movie. I think you'll like it.
All right.
Jeff Goldblum.
We have to get Network back in at some point, too.
Network, yeah. Network is a dark movie, too.
Yeah.
Maybe something with some dystopia in it. I don't know what, though. That's not going to be overkill to watch. There's a lot. We'll find something.
There is. If you have a suggestion for a movie that you would like us to watch,
Call to action.
Keep in mind that we are entering holiday season. So we're going to be doing darker / Halloween themed movies in October. We'll maybe try and throw a Thanksgiving movie in there for Thanksgiving, and then we definitely.
You know what we do for Thanksgiving?
Amy in the chest is Beetlejuice.
No, not Thanksgiving. You know what we do for Christmas? Fucking Lost in Paradise.
I haven't seen it.
It's a Nick Cage movie.
Is it? All right.
Nick Cage, Dana Carvey, and John Lovitz.
What do you think about Beetlejuice?
I'm down with Beetlejuice.
Yeah. Especially now, are we still getting a sequel?
Beetlejuice Goes to Hawaii. I don't know, man.
Beetlejuice in space.
I'm trying to think of a good porno parody name.
Booby Juice?
Booby Juice, there it is. Booby Juice, Booby Juice, Booby Juice.
Would be a prego film. I've said too much. But anyway, yeah, so next week we'll do Zodiac. Again, if you have anything that you want us to say, to watch for the podcast, you can email us at moviebusterspodcast@gmail.com or tweet at us on Twitter at moviebusterspod. And let us know if there's anything that you want us to watch It doesn't have to be themed for the holiday. It can be just in general for something to watch. But yeah, we would love to hear from people. If you saw Memento, if you liked Memento, if you didn't like Memento, or if you liked or didn't like this episode, again, that same booby juice, ain't that just milk? Fair enough.
That's like the Friday version of it, right? Booby juice in the ghetto.
So yeah, if again, email us or tweet us and let us know what you thought of the movie and this episode or the podcast so far. We are on episode 5, coming up in about a month and a half of doing this already, which is crazy to think about. Time goes by way too fast.
Now, will this show be seasonal like the rest?
No, I think we're just gonna go.
I think we'll just do this one. This one's fun.
Yeah, we mean like the rest. We have one show that's seasonal.
That's true. We're going to keep doing this show.
If you liked this episode, please let us know. Comment on iTunes or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Or leave us a review verbally on Facebook. Comment on it there. You can find Movie Busters Podcast on Facebook. You can watch this show live every Sunday night at 10 p.m. Eastern Time at twitch.tv/InkedGeekStudios. Or subscribe. I mean, however, if you are hearing this message, you are obviously doing one or the other.
Should we record an outro for this show?
I think I have one. I just didn't like it. I tried when I wasn't a fan. But anyway, yeah, if you want to support Movie Busters and Inked Geek Studios, please consider going to patreon.com/IG Studios. As little as $1 a month helps support this show and all the other shows that we do here. This week coming up is an off week for Indie Case Files, so be sure to catch Indie Case Files a week from tomorrow, where Amy Frost and myself will be talking about Escapist 2, the multiplayer updated version of Escapist 1. It is a puzzle-based prison escape game on Steam, and I'm excited to play it. Next week we have Brendan, what's his last name? Who's the band dude?
I don't know him. I know Bill. And as far as I know, we're having the whole band.
Right, which we have to talk about off air because I need to figure out how that's going to work.
Yeah, I'll ask Bill.
All right, so
I've met
what's the name of the band?
This World Has Bees.
This World Has Bees. So it's Brendan Clements and Company.
Cool. I will have to remind Bill and make sure that they are still on for that so we don't get fucked.
Right.
They were very excited to do it, but that was also like 2 months ago.
Right.
So we'll see.
Yeah. Booking out hard goes hard. So we have that. Then we'll have All Geeked Up before that at 8 o'clock. And then, again, next week, Zodiac. And then that leads us into another week off because on the week of the 22nd, we are going to Limitless Wrestling. So
I am pumped.
It is going to be exciting. But I think that'll do it for this episode. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, everyone in the live chat room, for hanging out with us. Thank you, Growly Bear, for all of the input tonight. You completely rock.
On tonight's show, we'll be doing Memento, a movie from 2000 starring Chris Nolan. Hey, for all of you watching live, Rick and Morty in 15 minutes. Check that out, too.
I'm Pickle Rick.
Pickle Rick, bitch.
For Brandon, for myself, and for the rest of Inked Geek Studios, thank you all very much for listening.
Wait, who's Brandon?
You are.
What?
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 Hey! All right.
For Brandon, for myself, and for the rest of IG Studios, thank you all very much for listening, and we will see you next week.
Good morning, Vietnam! I love the smell of napalm in the morning.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
I feel the need for speed.
Roads? Where we're going, we don't need roads. Snakes. Why did it have to be snakes?
Badges? We don't need no badges. I don't have to show you any stinking.
You've been listening to an Inked Geek Studios podcast. For this and other great shows, go to inkedgeekstudios.com.